All right, welcome everybody. Always nice to have some idea of where everyone is living and nice to connect. Today's our functional fitness class. Before we get moving, just a quick reminder of what else GoGo can provide. So in addition to these classes, you can access rides, meals, groceries, medication delivery, and home services. And you can get all of those things by calling one number. That phone number is 855-464-6872. Also a reminder that we have a referral program. So if you refer a friend to GoGo, they will get $10 in credit and so will you. And your referral code is at the bottom of your GoGo receipt. So you can look there to get that potential credit. We also have a Facebook group, so if you ever want to continue any of these conversations online, you can find us on Facebook, and we'll share a link in the chat so that you can easily access and find us. If we haven't met, I'm Adra. Welcome to class. I teach the yoga and the functional fitness class here at GoGo. So today, all we need is a chair. If you don't have a regular chair, sorry, that was my doorbell. If you don't have a regular chair, a couch is okay, or a rolly chair is okay. Most of this class though is standing. So know that the chair is just there for a little bit. You need more sitting. The yoga class does more sitting. You can always modify, take breaks, sit whenever you need for this class. I'm also going to use a light pair of dumbbells. So I have some 3-pound weights here. If you have anywhere from 1 to 3 pound weights, you can grab them. If you don't have them, don't worry about it. You don't need them. You can also grab some cans or water bottles to have a little bit of weight. If you don't have any of those, you're just going to imagine that you are using resistance when you're moving through movements, and you will probably feel your muscles burn. And then when we work the legs, we're carrying the weight of our body, and that's plenty enough. So grab the weights if you have them. If not, don't worry about it. So every week I give a move of the week. Does anybody remember what the functional fitness move of the week was? So that's not from last week. Last week was yoga, but from the week before. Anyone remember the functional fitness move of the week? I'm hearing that there's, oh, you know what? I'm hearing that there's static for me, and I actually forgot to put on my mic. So let's see if this makes it better. But anyone remember while I'm putting this on, the move of the week? You can shout it out or put it in the chat. I can't see everybody's video all at once. So if you are waving at me, I might not see you. I know some of you know the moves and are showing me, and I just don't see you. No, no one remembers the move. It was a lower body move. And if you weren't here, of course you won't know. Give everyone another 10 seconds. I'm scrolling through, seeing if maybe somebody's showing me. Okay.
Adra?
Yeah.
Leg lifts?
It was leg related. It was squats.
Oh, no. Okay, I was wrong.
But a good guess. You guessed at least. So I guess there's a little bit of static on my end, but there's not much I don't think I can do about it. Are you all able to hear me okay? Yeah?
Yep.
Okay, so we'll just deal with a little bit of the statics. Oh, what's going on? I don't know why there are fireworks behind me suddenly. That's weird. Did everyone else see that? I didn't do anything. Okay, anyways, let's get going. Let's move our bodies. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen. And we will get going. So let's start standing. Oh, my weights are off to the side. Let's just go ahead and find a nice position. Feet are maybe 4 to 6 inches apart. Landing those toes, landing those heels. Let's inhale, circle the arms out to the side and then up towards the ceiling, reaching tall. And then exhale, lower the arms back down. Let's do that 2 more times. Inhale, circle the arms out to the side and up towards the ceiling. And exhale, lower the hands down. One more time. Inhale, circle the arms out and up. And exhale, lower back down. Right, let's lower those hands and then bend those knees a little bit. So just a small bend of the knees, hips are just below the shoulders. We're going to inhale, open up the arms out into a T position and lift the chest. So you're doing a back bend, lifting the chest towards the ceiling. And then exhale, round your back, tuck your tail and give yourself a hug, dropping your chin. We inhale, open up the arms, tail goes back, chest lifts. Exhale, round, tuck the tail, give yourself a hug. Couple more times, we're just warming up the spine. Inhale, arms open, spine opens, chest lifts, tail goes back. And then exhale, round, tuck the tail, give yourself a hug. A few more times, follow your own pace. So don't worry about my speed, move at your speed. And come back to center, release the arms and straighten out those legs. Let's bend side to side. So reaching one arm down, getting a nice side body stretch. Coming up, and then other arm down. Keep going side to side. So stretching that side body. You decide how fast you go. We just want to warm up the spine before we do any more challenging motions. Let's come back to center. Let's bend those knees a little bit, just a small bend, and bring the fingertips to the shoulders. And we'll twist the spine. So rotating the spine right and left at your own pace. And let's come back to center, release the arms, straighten out the legs. So we're going to start with some squats and some plies. So the difference being that squats, our hips are going to go back and our torso will come slightly forward. For plies, our body is going to stay upright or our torso is going to stay upright. So we're going to do both of those. We'll start with some squats. So we'll take the feet about shoulder width. So it's not super wide. Let's keep those feet parallel. So all 10 toes are going to face forward. I'm just going sideways so you can see. You can keep facing your screen. So feet are about shoulder width. Feet are parallel. So toes are pointing forward. We'll inhale, bend those knees. Hips go back. Arms can reach forward to help counterbalance the weight of those hips. And then we straighten the legs, lower the arms. Inhale as we bend. Hips go back. Arms come forward. And exhale as you straighten. Keep going, follow your breath. Couple more times. And then next time you're standing tall, go ahead and pause. Now we're going to compare that to some plies. So we're going to keep our feet about that same width. So shoulder width apart, all 10 toes face forward. But now we're going to keep our body upright as if you're balancing something on your head. You can pretend you're balancing something on your head so that your head stays over your shoulders stay over your hips. So now we bend the knees, keeping the torso upright. You might feel like you can't go quite as low, and straighten. So we bend and straighten. So we just get a different sensation here. It might feel easier, but it might also feel like you can't go so far because our ankles will restrict how far we can go. And right now, we're not doing this with any weight, but we'll add some weight and some other movements in a few minutes. So just getting a feel for that. Can you keep the feet fully grounded when you do these plies, these knee bends where you keep the head over the shoulders, over the hips? All right, and then go ahead and straighten out those legs, take a little break. Let's grab our weights. And do some upper body, but then we'll come right back to what we were doing before with the legs. So don't worry, we haven't forgotten that. Let's go with some externally rotated bicep curls. So there are a couple ways you could do this. We could be just externally rotated with the palms facing forward. If it's possible for your body, I want you to turn out even more. So instead of just being our typical bicep curl this way, we're going to turn out even more and bring the arms out to the side. So it's almost like the arms are going to go through a W shape as they make their way to the shoulders and then back down. So keep going here. You can also do this seated. So if you're getting tired of standing, you can always sit down. You could also alternate arms. So if you're getting tired, you could do one arm and then the other. So you have options. All right, let's take a little break, lower those arms. Let's keep holding those weights. Maybe do a few shoulder rolls, give yourself a moment. And now we're going into some overhead presses. We're gonna keep them narrow. So we'll bend the elbows, hands by the shoulders. The palms are facing in. Then we're going to straighten the arms up towards the ceiling. Palms are still facing in, and then bend the elbows. So up and down. This can be plenty of work without weights. So if you feel like this would be better without weights, go for it, get rid of the weights. If you feel like you need more challenge and you have no weights, you can imagine that you're pushing something up towards the ceiling. Create an imagined force, and that should get those muscles to activate a little bit more. Try and really use your shoulders and your arms as you press up, and not so much the spine or the pelvis, right? So my torso stays still as I push my arms. It's a shoulder and arm exercise, not a back exercise. Couple more. All right, lowering those weights down. You can keep holding on to the weights as we move to our squats. If you don't want the weights for your squats, get rid of them, no problem. If you're holding the weights for your squats, I recommend that you bring them up by your chest. Again, I'm going to give you a little bit of a side view. We're going to keep those weights by the chest. The hips can go back for the squat. Feet are about shoulder width. Let's keep those feet parallel. We bend the knees, hips go back, and straighten. Let's add that breath. Inhale, bend the knees, hips go back. Exhale, straighten. So finding that here, one of the big differences between the plie and the squat is that the hips are moving back and the torso is coming forward for the squat, so that there's more motion in the hip joints. There is some motion in the hip joint when we do the plies, but a lot less. So here you can find a little bit more motion here at that hip crease. Up one more. And then straighten out those legs, take a little break, lower those arms. For the plies, we're gonna keep the arms down. So you're just holding those weights with the arms down or putting those weights to the side. Head stays over the shoulders, shoulders over the pelvis. We bend the knees. So noticing there's way less hip crease compared to when we squat. So the plie, we're upright, straighten the legs. Down and up. Feeling whatever sensations are going through the body here. Remembering that this is your time and your practice. So if you ever feel like you need to take breaks or modify or add something, you're totally welcome to do so. All right, and then let's straighten out those legs. Give those legs a little break. We're going back to those externally rotated bicep curls. So you'll turn those palms to face forward and then turn them to face out. The elbows stay pretty close to the body as you bend those elbows, moving through a W shape to get those hands to the shoulders and then back down. Couple more. Okay, take a little break on those bicep curls. Maybe a few shoulder rolls one way and then the other. Back to our narrow overhead presses. So we bend those elbows, hands start by the shoulders. We push those hands up towards the ceiling and then bend those elbows. Watching that you're trying to make this motion happen at the shoulders and at the arms, not so much in the spine. And take a little break, lower those arms. Okay, so now we're going to play with a little coordination of two moves at the same time. So we're going to do legs with arms. So what we'll do is that movement that we just did, that overhead press with the squat. So I'll show you here. So we would start with the weights by the shoulders, feet go about shoulder width. We keep the elbows bent as we bend those knees into our squat. And then as we straighten the legs, the arms straighten towards the ceiling. Then the elbows bend and the knees bend. So we bend at the same time and straighten at the same time. But let's take a little break. So I just showed you so you have in mind what's you're gonna do, but I know we just did these, so just take a moment. Few breaths. Mentally prepare yourself. All right, let's do it. So we bend those elbows, hands by the shoulders. Hips go back into your squat. Then we straighten the legs and straighten the arms. Watch your spine, keep it nice and steady. We bend the elbows, knees bend with them. We straighten the legs and the arms. Keep going. So at your own pace, feeling free to take a break if you need, or just slow down or speed up. So we straighten together and we bend. Remembering that this is a squat, and so the hips go back and the chest comes slightly forward. We're not vertical with our torso. Okay, and take a little break. Woo. We're going to combine now the plie with the bicep curl, but I'll give you a second to catch your breath. And then we'll take a proper stretch after this, I promise. So we're gonna turn those palms to face forward and then out. Ankles are underneath the hips, hips are underneath the shoulders. Our spine stays upright, so torso stays upright here. Plie, it's a knee bend with the bicep curl. So we bend at the same time, and then we straighten the legs and lower the arms. Keeping that torso vertical, we bend the knees, hands come up, we straighten the legs and straighten the arms. We bend and straighten. Couple more. And go ahead and release those arms. Maybe put those weights down for a moment mindfully and just shake it off, shake out those arms. So we're going to move into some side lunges. I'm taking off my socks because I don't want to slip around. So if you're just in socks, you might choose to take off your socks or just make sure you have shoes or grippies underneath your socks. We're going to take our feet wide now. So we were doing narrow before, about shoulder width. Now we're going wider. Not quite as wide as fingertip width if you were to bring your arms out to the side, but getting pretty wide. You can let those toes point slightly out, heels in. I know you can't really see my feet, but that's not the most important. Toes can also point forward if you decide that feels more comfortable for your body. We bend one knee and the hip goes back. So you're going to let your torso come forward the way we did with the squat. It's almost like you're doing a squat with one bent knee and one straight leg. And then we straighten the leg. You can make this as big or as small as you want. So you might decide you only want to bend a few inches or you want to bend a lot. It's up to you. We bend and straighten. I'm going to show you a side view. You don't need to move. I'm just giving you a different view. So we're just getting a feel for this motion, the side to side motion. As you straighten the bent knees, think about pushing that foot into the ground to rise. Let's do one more each side. Make sure you're nice and even, right and left. And then bring those legs back together, taking a little bit of a break. We're going to go to an arm exercise before we come back to the legs. This arm exercise is going to require your chair. If you don't have a chair, the armrest of your couch should work, or a lower table. If your table is high, you're going to use your forearm instead of your hand. So you have lots of options. I'm going to explain all the options once again in a moment. So you don't have to face sideways again. I'm sideways so you can see better. You're going to come forward and place your hands on your chair like you're creating sort of a table. So my hands are underneath my shoulders, my torso is parallel to the earth, my legs can be bent or straight. You can do this with your hands on an armrest, or if you're at a table and the table is high, then you're going to bring your forearms to the table. We'll just pretend that my chair is the table for a moment. I have to really bend my knees to do that, but you can always come to your forearms if all you have is a table and not a chair. All right, so from this position, you're going to grab one of your weights with your right hand. If you need to move around to grab the weight, that's fine. So now just the left hand is gonna stay on your support, or the left forearm, and your right hand is going to dangle off the side. So if you need to now scooch towards the edge of your chair or towards the edge of the table, that's fine. The torso is parallel to the earth. We bend the elbow, that right elbow, and bring the elbow up towards the ceiling, squeezing the shoulder blade towards the spine, and then lowering the arm down. We bend, squeeze the shoulder blade towards the spine, and lower down. So these are rows. That's the motion of the shoulder blade moving on the rib cage, and then also the motion of the upper arm bone moving in the shoulder socket. All right, let's go ahead and come on up. Take a moment, shake it off, and we'll go to the other side. I'm gonna take off a layer in between. So now we're switching. The weight goes in your left hand or whichever hand you didn't have it in. Right hand is on the chair or right forearm on your table. The left arm is dangling or the left arm is free. Knees can be straight or bent. We bend the left elbow, squeeze the shoulder blade towards the spine, elbow reaches towards the ceiling, and then lower the arm down. Bend and straighten. Keep going. Couple more. All right, and go ahead and come on up. Grab your weights if you want. We're going back to those side lunges, but now we're adding weight for our side lunges. You don't have to use the weight for the side lunges if you don't want to. If you are grabbing your weight, let the weight be up by the chest. We take our feet wide, so the feet are wider than the shoulders. You decide the foot positioning, whatever feels comfortable for you. We bend one knee, hips go back. Other leg stays straight, and then come on up. Bend and up. So let yourself lean a little forward, but know that the leaning forward is coming from the hip or the pelvis. It's that your pelvis, this bone here, these bones here, actually it's 3 bones, are rolling over your hip or rolling over your thigh bone. It's not your spine moving. So the spine stays pretty much the same the whole time. The fact that I'm coming forward, like I'm saying, is coming from this motion here at that hip crease where the thigh bone meets the hip socket or meets the pelvis. Couple more. All right, and once you're even right to left, come on up, shake it off. We're going back to those rows that we did at our chair or table, but with an add-on, we're going to add some triceps. So back to the chair or table or couch, left hand's going to the support or left forearm to the support. Take a moment to set yourself up. So you want to try and get that torso parallel to the ground. Your knees can be as bent as needed. That left hand is supported or left forearm is supported, right arm is down. So that hand is free. We bend the right elbow just like we were doing before, squeezing the shoulder blade to the spine, but now we add on, we keep the upper arm where it is and straighten the rest of the arm. So the pinky reaches towards the ceiling. The arm is parallel to the ground. We then rebend the elbow and lower the hand towards the earth. So we add a row with a tricep extension. We bend the right elbow, squeeze the shoulder blade towards the spine. Elbow stays high as we straighten the arm, pinky reaches towards the ceiling. We keep the elbow high as we rebend, and then we lower the hand down towards the ground. So keep going. We're doing the row with the tricep extension. Core is engaged to try and keep your spine in the position it's in. Jaw is relaxed, breath is smooth. Know that you can always take breaks if you need them. All right, one more. And come on up. Take a moment, shake it off. Whew, take a breath. And we'll go to the other side. So right hand is supporting. So it can be on your chair or on your table or on your couch. It can also be a forearm. Torso is parallel to the earth. Knees can be straight or bent. Left arm is free and dangling. We bend the left elbow, squeeze the shoulder blade towards the spine. Now we keep the upper arm in that position. Elbow stays high as you straighten the arm back behind you. Pinky reaches towards the ceiling. We bend the elbow, but keep the elbow high. And then straighten the arm, lower the hand towards the ground. I'll say it slow one more time. We bend the elbow, shoulder blade squeezes towards the spine. The upper arm stays parallel to the earth, elbow stays high as we straighten the left arm, bringing the entire arm parallel to the ground. Then we keep the elbow high as we rebend and then straighten the arm down. Keep going. So we do a row with a tricep extension. It's also okay for your hand to go higher. So I know I was saying parallel, that's your minimum. If you want, you can bring that arm even higher up towards the ceiling. I just don't want the arm drooping down below your hips until you're straightening the arm to the ground. Let's do one or two more. Putting that weight down, coming up, shake it off. Whew. So we're going to add on to that side lunge we did with the weights, but we're gonna adjust the side lunge just a little bit. So I'm just gonna show you before we grab our weights. So earlier when we were doing our side lunge with our feet wider than our shoulders, our hips went back and our torso came forward. We're going to exaggerate that even more. So you're gonna bring your torso even further forward, almost parallel to the ground, and then come up. So go ahead and give that a try before we add our weights. So maybe you first go into your side lunge on one side, see what that feels like, and then see, can you come forward even more, bringing the torso almost parallel to the ground, and then come up. So it's still, we're bending one knee and having the other leg straight. So let's do that again. We bend one knee, other leg is straight, hips start to go back, but then we're gonna let our torso come forward a little more. So it's almost like a deadlift. If this feels icky on the body, stay with the upright position. Let's try one more time so that we're even right to left. Bend the knee, hips go back, torso comes slightly parallel. And come up. Now we grab our weights. We're going to add a tricep extension when we're in that more parallel position. If suddenly this feels like too many things happening at once, choose one. You can do the triceps or you can choose to do the legs. So legs go wide. We're going to bend I'll mirror you. So let's do this together. We'll bend our right knee, hips go back. Now it's going to be that right arm that's going to do the work. It's going to bend and straighten back behind you. So we do that tricep extension with the leg that's bent. Then we lower the arm and come up. I know this is a lot of moves. It's a little bit different. We bend the left knee. Torso comes forward. Now it's the left arm that's going to do the work. We bend the left elbow, do the row, and then straighten the arm behind you. And then lower it down and come up. I'm going to give you a side view. So we bend one knee, hips go back. Whatever knee is bent, that's the arm that's moving, bending, straightening, and lowering down. We come up. We bend the other knee, whichever knee is bent, that's the arm that's going to do the work. It bends, it straightens parallel-ish to the ground, it rebends and lowers. Keep going. And again, if you feel like, oh, this is too many things happening at once, do just the legs. Play with the legs. Or go to the tricep extensions with the rows we were doing at the chair. So we slowly add on extra levels of challenge, just so that we can meet everybody's needs as best we can. Right? We can't be perfect, but it's giving you options. You can always go back to a more recent variation, earlier variation, so that it works for your body. A few more. As you start to wrap up here, try and finish on your second side. So you've done the same right to left. And when you're done, bring those legs back together and we'll put those weights down. We're going to move to some balancing work. We're going to come behind our chair. If getting behind your chair isn't possible, find a wall or a table. You don't need to be sideways. I'm just sideways so you can see. So let's play with our balance. We're going to slowly add more and more challenge to our balance. Hands on the chair if you need it. If at any point you want more challenge, maybe you just hover above the chair, or maybe you hold on with one finger. So know you have options if you want more. So we start with our feet together. And see, can you balance with your feet touching? Is that comfortable? If that feels comfortable, and only if that feels comfortable, you're going to add on. If this feels wobbly enough, stay here. If it feels okay, you're going to step your right foot in front of your left, like you're standing on a tightrope or a balance beam. So all 10 toes are facing mostly forward. My right foot is in front of my left, and my feet are very close to each other. That suddenly gets much harder. Feel free to play around here. So maybe the hands are holding on. Maybe you're hovering your hands. Maybe you're holding with one pinky, one finger. Gaze is steady. If this is easy, and please, only if this is easy, you can challenge yourself further by closing your eyes. If this is not easy, please do not close your eyes. Hands come back to your chair, and we're going to switch feet. So we step the right foot back, open your eyes if you close them, and then we step the left foot forward in front of the right. So we're now standing on a tightrope. All 10 toes face forward. We're holding on to our chair. If that feels safe, you can start to maybe hold on with a little bit less grip. Maybe you hold on with a finger or two. Maybe you hover the hands. And if this feels easy, you can close the eyes. If not, please keep your eyes open. We want to stay safe. We just don't want to fall. Nice smooth breath. And then hands back to the chair, stepping your left foot back. Just a tiny bit more before we finish up. We're gonna stand on our left leg and bend our right knee, bringing that right foot off the ground. So now we're standing on one foot. Feel free to keep holding on with two hands. Maybe you hold on with just a few fingers. Maybe you hold on with one finger. Maybe you hover. Totally fine to grab on at any point or bring your toes down at any point. And we'll switch sides, hands back to the chair, foot comes down, we switch, we bend the other knee, foot comes up. We're standing now on that right foot or whichever foot you haven't stood on yet for the one leg balance, holding on or maybe just a few fingers, maybe hovering, maybe not. And then lowering the hands, lowering the feet. Let's finish up with some heel raises. So this can also feel a little balancy. You can do this holding on to the chair. You can always challenge yourself by letting go of the chair. Let's keep those feet parallel. So all 10 toes are facing forward. We're lifting up onto our toes. So the heels come off the ground and then we're coming back down. So down and up, down and up. Moving in whatever range works for you. Can be small or big. You can hold on or let go. Find that just right challenge for you. All right, next time your heels are down, go ahead and pause. Feel both feet planted on the earth. We'll inhale, circle the arms out to the side and up towards the ceiling, reaching tall. And exhale, lower the arms back down. 2 more times. Inhale, arms circle out and up. Exhale, back down. Last time. Inhale, arms circle out and up, reaching tall. And exhale, lower the arms down and give yourself a round of applause. Awesome work, everybody. So great to have you here. So our move of the week, because every week I give you something that I want you to try and think about working on, is balancing. So it's not a specific move, but I want you to think about finding times to balance. So maybe that's when you're in your kitchen, you grab onto your counter and see, okay, can I stand on one foot? Okay, can I stand on one foot and let go of the counter with one hand safely? Please only do this if it feels safe, right? If it feels unsafe, then don't do it. But play around with how can you challenge your balance throughout the day. And then here's this Tish, I don't know if Tish is still here, saying you can't do squats. I think this happened last time, and then I explained what you can do instead, but she had already left, and I don't know if it was Tish or somebody else. So I'm looking through the chat. I don't see, sorry, not the chat, looking through the cameras. So I don't see Tish, but for anything that we do, if you can't do it, I want you to think about what piece you can't do. So we'll go back to the squat example because this has come up a few times. And so our squat requires a couple of different motions. It requires a knee bend, a hip hinge, and an ankle motion. All right, so there are multiple pieces. Is there a way to work on one of those pieces? So if you go, I can't bend my knees, can I move one of my pieces? Yeah, maybe I work on the hip hinge. Maybe I work on that ankle motion that happens. Much harder, I find, to work on. But seeing that when there's a movement you can't do, figure out what the pieces that you can't do, and then look at the pieces you can do. And try and do that instead. So, right, if we have an overhead press and the bending of the elbow is really bothering your elbow, can we work on just lifting the arms overhead? Sure, that's hard. maybe you do it with no weight. But know that you can always modify, and maybe I'll try and remember to do this at the start of our session next time, because when someone feels like, oh, I can't do that, I don't get a chance to tell them in the moment and then they leave. So Eileen is saying the speaker is not clear. It's better when I'm closer to the machine. That's weird because I have a mic. So I don't know what's going on with that. But V was also telling me that there is some kind of static today, which is interesting because this computer is new. I have a different microphone that we might play with, and we can see if that helps. It's been sitting in my closet, so I should pull it out. So any questions before we wrap up? Questions about class more than GoGo questions. If we have GoGo specific questions, reach out to GoGo directly. I usually can't answer them. I'm going to write down the move.
How many times should we try to repeat between now and next week?
Repeat what?
What we did today.
Well, you can do be kind to your body. So if you wanted to go to our YouTube channel and do another class tomorrow, that's fine. Maybe you do every other day, but for the move of the week, that balancing move that I want you to play with, try and do that every day. It'll take you 30 seconds max. So if you can do that every day, that would be awesome.
This is my first time. What is the name of the program on YouTube?
So when you get the invite for this class, it should have a link to the YouTube. But I think V will put it in the chat as well, and you can get to it just through our
Great,
chat.
thank you.
Adra, can
Yeah.
you hear me? Patrick? Yeah, you're coming through loud and clear. There's nothing wrong with your hardware.
Okay.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with your hardware. Yeah, it's beautiful. Yeah.
Okay, great. Yeah, because this computer is new, so it should be pretty good, actually, the sound.
And what's with the closing the eyes? That's almost impossible.
I know.
Oh, man, that's just rough.
Am I getting vertigo?
You work on it.
Yeah, that's the next level challenge. Yeah, it's wild how much we use our vision for balance.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
And Eileen, in the chat now, the YouTube channel is there.
Thank you.
And anyone else who wants to access the YouTube channel. We put up the videos about a couple of weeks after the class happens. So this class will show up again, but in a few weeks, but there are all of the past classes that we've done, or almost all of them available. I'm going to write down the move of the week before I forget. Highly recommend you write it down if you have a bad memory and you think, oh, what was it that I was told to practice? Also, if you want to see everybody instead of just my video, now's always a nice time to look at the gallery view. If you go to the top right-hand corner, you can change the view from speaker to gallery, and you can then see everybody's beautiful faces. I'll stick around for another few minutes if anyone has questions, but if you are ready to go, you can always log off. You don't have to
Very
stay.
good. Very good.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thanks for being here.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bertha, looks like you have a question.
Yes. When I walk outside, if I'm walking on good pavements, I can feel the transfer of weight from one foot to another. But if I'm walking on a path in a park or, an unpaved path, it's much harder for me to walk. I feel as if I'm throwing my weight into each step, and I feel a loss of the security and balance. Is this making sense to you, this observation?
Seeing your cursor.
Yes, that's quite common that when we walk on uneven surfaces, so right, a path may have some bumps, a dirt path might have some bumps, some holes, some areas where it's lifted and lowered, that it's going to feel harder. And sometimes with dirt or rock paths, there's going to be a little bit more slip, right? You don't just stick to the ground the way we might stick to concrete. What I would recommend with that is to just slow down when you're walking there, to see, is there a way to find some degree of balance when you're walking on these uneven surfaces? Because it is important to walk on uneven surfaces. Because what happens if you're walking on the pavement and you hit a crack? If you're not used to dealing with uneven surfaces, then that's when we're more likely to fall. So it is good to walk on uneven surfaces. The one other piece that I might want you to think about, Bertha, is when you're walking, how narrow of a stance are you doing? If you're walking on a tightrope, it's going to be much harder. So just make sure, and this may not be an issue at all, but this is for anybody when they're walking, make sure that you're walking on these like mini railroad tracks. So my feet, let me see if I can back up and so that you can see me. I find where my feet are about 4 to 6 inches apart, and they're going to stay that distance the entire time, right? I'm not a cowboy. It's not a really wide stance. It's just there is some space and I'm walking along that. So my feet were to draw these narrow parallel lines, not a tightrope. So if I were painted on my feet, I'm not walking on a tightrope. You want to make sure that you have a larger base of support, if that makes sense.
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome. I think maybe Rosemary, you're raising your hand. I'm not sure though. You're on mute though, so you have to unmute yourself. Bottom
see.
left hand. Oh, you unmuted and then muted again. There we go.
Okay. Okay. I really enjoyed this. This was my first class. I have a fused foot and bad right leg and foot. So these were really good. I enjoyed them.
Awesome.
I couldn't keep up to all the repetitions, but I'll work on it.
That's why we do lots, so you can stop whenever you need. I'm so glad you came.
I am. I'll be back.
Wonderful.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Well, if there are no other questions, I will let you go. Thank you, everybody. Next Wednesday is yoga. So that class is mostly seated, more stretching, less strength. Still fun.
Happy with you?
Yes, with me.
Okay, great. Thank you. What's your first name?
Adra.
Adra. Okay. Thank you. I'll see you then, Adra. Bye-bye.
Great. Wonderful. Thank you, everybody.